And this is the video log for November 25th. Yeah, 25th. No, November. February 25th, 2018. It's snowing right now. It's actually snowing a lot more than it did the last time I said it snowed. To the point where getting to work tomorrow morning is going to be a little bit tricky. So I guess tonight I'll talk a little bit about I remember snow days being when I was a kid. I'll talk a little bit about the differences being a kid and being an adult in general. Um, when I was a kid, out of focus here. Let's see if I can. There we go. Oh, you know what? Let's deal with the elephant in the room first. I'm wearing a somewhat inappropriate shirt. I got this at a convention years ago, and it made me smile and laugh way too much. And I never try and wear it to work because I don't want somebody to get their feathers ruffled over a stupid shirt that I bought on a whim and have half regretted and half smirked at ever since. Maybe I'll put the explicit language warning on this, but actually, if you don't know what it is and why it could be considered offensive, then you're better off. I wouldn't recommend Googling it. You'll only disappoint yourself. So let's talk about the differences between being a kid and an adult. As someone who collects a lot of toys that are theoretically designed for children, this comes up a lot. When I was a kid, snow days were amazing, especially in Minnesota. It took a lot for school to be canceled due to snow. Minnesota is a place that handles snow exceedingly well. The Pacific Northwest, by contrast, does not. Unless you're up in the mountains where they get regular snowfall, then it's more normal there. When you get down to the foothills where I live, it is not normal to get snow, especially in anything like the 3 inches we're probably getting tonight. So in Minnesota, when school got canceled for snow, it was great. Go out and play in it. Your parents probably were a little worried because it takes a real blizzard to shut things down in Minnesota, and you don't want kids stuck out in blizzards. That is life-threatening, though we didn't know it at the time. Blizzard just meant extra snow. It didn't mean anything special to us. Having played Skyrim with some survival mods installed, I now fear blizzards, even if they're only fictional. And now that I'm an adult and I actually have to drive in this stuff, snow is a little intimidating to me. I don't mind shoveling it. I minded shoveling it when I was a kid. The one time my mom asked me to shovel. My dad was out on a trip while it snowed, and she wanted me to shovel the driveway so he would have a place to pull the car in. I think I was 8, and my little arms had trouble. It wasn't the weight of the snow itself. It was the mammoth shovel that we used, this huge thing that we had two actually. One was made out of plastic and could not chip into the crusty ice snow well enough to get it. And so it was hard to actually carry the snow with the plastic shovel. I think eventually we shattered it to give you an idea of how bad it was. The other one was metal, solid metal shovel blade and a wooden handle, and it must have weighed 10 pounds. In my little hands, it might as well have weighed 50. And I was shoveling snow on top of that. So Dad got a little bit of driveway. But the path to the house, oh, we didn't have a path to the house. Yeah. So the path to the house was shoveled because we didn't have one. But yeah, that was all I could muster back then. Now, of course, shoveling is not very hard, although I wonder if we still have a shovel for it. I usually don't do it. Somebody else in the house usually does it. But I could do it if asked. They just never bother asking me. So snow days for where I work, to give you an idea, no one has ever closed down the business I work at due to snow in its 30 plus years of existing, because a bunch of employees happen to live across the street and can walk to work if necessary. The only thing that shuts the building down is power, because we need power to do our jobs. That's the only hint you get today. So my business will be open for business tomorrow. Well, not mine, I don't own it. The business I work for will be open tomorrow. And it's just a matter of whether or not I decide to make the call to go in. And when you're a kid, missing school because of snow is great. You don't lose anything. When I moved here, they actually started implementing a thing. I'm gonna plug this in. I forgot to plug it in while I was. Here we go. When I moved here, they implemented a thing where you got an extra day in June at the end of the school year if you had to miss a day of school because of snow. So that stopped being super fun. You had to go to school a certain X number of days, and they were going to make you do it no matter what. Now missing work because of snow means no money. And I think that's the big thing, is that I didn't even understand that there would be consequences for things like this when I was a kid. But when you're an adult, you don't get to hide behind that ignorance. It's just the way the world works. And I could really use money right now after having bought all these plastic toys. The thumbnail I'm going to use for this actually shows me off with this guy. And this guy is another example of the difference between being a kid and being an adult. This is a collector's item that cost me $120, I think. And it is a facsimile. It's not based on any specific toy. It is based on a character in a show called Gojinrai, as I think I mentioned in my unboxing video a little bit ago. I have him pointing. He actually has the finger articulation to point and hold his sword. He cannot point his sword as the other figure could. He can rotate at the wrist, and that's about it. But it does look cool in his hand this way, for all that it can do. But here's another example of the difference between being a kid and being an adult. He came broken. Or rather, he came unfinished. He's supposed to have these two little thrusters on the backs of his legs, and this side has the proper thruster, and this side has nothing. It has a gap, and it came like that. And I will not even sugarcoat it. If I was a kid and this happened, I would have thrown a fit. I would have demanded to get a replacement figure or have my dad fix it or something. I would have bawled my eyes out probably, because I was a bit of a greedy kid, and I'm embarrassed to say it now. I wanted way more than my meager allowance would have allowed. It's not that meager. I got $5 a week in the 80s, which I think was plenty of money back then. Most of these figures were only $5 or $10, so it was like, okay, you save up your money and you can get 4 or more less. You get at least one figure a month. There might be one really good figure or 4 measly tiny little figures. And now I'm buying versions of these figures for $120. And I spent $120 and it's not even put together correctly. And I don't cry. I was going, "Aw," and then I just don't care anymore. And I sometimes sort of miss being able to get worked up over little things like that. I sometimes wonder, living in an area like this with people talking about, "Oh, it's gray, another gray day. Oh, I feel dead inside." I don't think most people feel dead inside just because it's another gray day. I think they generally just moved to California. But I had a little moment of like, and then I worked past it, and that's being an the other thing that my friends and I have decided that marks an adult is somebody that decides to eat vegetables of their own free will without anybody telling them they have to, except for dozens of scientific journals and health reports that have been released over the last ever. But no one's telling you to eat your vegetables. They're just strongly recommending it. So yeah, not crying when your toys are broken and eating vegetables. That's how I know I'm an adult and not just a kid with a really big bankroll. What a weird topic. It's the end of the week. I've done 7 of these. So I only have to do 359 more. 358 more. As midlife crises go, I think I picked one that's way more hassle than it's worth. I should have got on a motorcycle and just killed myself. I'm not saying that everybody with a motorcycle kills themselves, but when it snows like this, it seems like the car is the better way to go. Anyway, Might be staying home tomorrow, in which case I'll try and do one of these early, and I'll try and show off some of the snow. I'll take my camera out and get some footage of the snow and do a little one of these outdoors for a change of pace. Anyway, I'm Eric Spornitz. This is my vlog, and tomorrow will be better, if not colder.